Hello and welcome to this edition of Boost Live, where we focus on passive alternative investments, information and education. This is Philippe Scholligan, co-founder of Boost Capital Group. Today, we'll go over a practical guide to figuring out if you're an accredited investor. A little bit about us. My partner Jeff Rodriguez and I founded Boost Capital Group, a firm dedicated to helping busy professionals and parents who want to preserve and boost their capital through passive real estate investments. We collectively have 10 years of experience and we invested in 2,400 apartments, a $180 million portfolio, and to date we have produced an average of 33% annual rate of return on full cycle deals. Let's dive in. Are you an accredited investor? A practical guide. We wanted to go over this topic because recently we launched a fund that is exclusively open to accredited investors, and some of our existing investors were not sure if they qualified or not. In this presentation, we'll cover what it means to be accredited, focus on the 3 most common requirements for a natural person to be accredited, and take a closer look at each one of them. Finally, we look at the steps required for establishing the accreditation. What does it mean to be an accredited investor? Under the federal securities laws, a company that offers or sells securities must register with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. Otherwise, these companies, they can find an exemption from the registration requirements, such as Rule 506 of Regulation D, for example, Rule 506B and 506C, commonly used in the real estate syndications or funds. Particularly under the exemption Rule 506C, these offerings are limited to accredited investors to ensure that all participating investors are financially sophisticated and able to fend for themselves and sustain the risk of loss. This is coming from investor.gov website. Next, who is an accredited investor? The term accredited investor is defined by Rule 501 of Regulation D from the SEC. I have a link available if you want to take a closer look. It's a very technical definition. We're going to focus on the definition of an accredited investor in the context of a natural person. And the top 3 requirements, if you meet either one of those, you will be accredited. We have an income requirement, or a net worth requirement, or a securities or financial advisor license. Let's dive in. Income. The requirement is that the earned income exceeds $200,000 or $300,000 together with a spouse or spousal equivalent in each of the prior 2 years, and also reasonably expect the same for the current year. So to confirm that you meet this requirement, you can look at the W-2 form, box 1, the wages, tips, and other compensation. Or if you don't meet the requirements thanks to your W-2 along with your spouse, you can also look at your tax form 1040, total income, line 9, particularly relevant if you're making a lot of passive income. Next, we have the net worth. Here, the definition is to have a net worth over $1 million, either alone or together with a spouse or spousal equivalent, excluding the value of the person's primary residence. To calculate this net worth, you have to add up all your assets and subtract all your liabilities. The result is your net worth, excluding your primary residence. What happens here is that often investors don't believe they meet this requirement, and actually they do, because you have to look at all your assets. We've put together a net worth calculator Excel sheet that I'm going to show you. It's available for download. Switching screen here. On the assets column, those are all the categories of assets that you should take a look at while considering your assets. So your checking accounts, savings accounts, CDs, other or cash, your retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks. For pension, you can only take into account the amount that you can withdraw today. Brokerage accounts for stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and other investments. Any business that you've invested in, any passive investment such as real estate syndication, and I would add here anything pertaining to crypto. Otherwise, you have the cash value of the life insurance, the surrender value of annuities. Then we have the current market value of your homes, And here you'll see your primary residence. We enter it here for now, but it will not be taken into account in the total calculation. Any rental or vacation properties you may have. And finally, this is an area here where people often forget to count. So gold or silver, bars and coins or other precious metals, cars, any other vehicles such as motorcycles, RVs or boats, any household furniture or silverware, appliances, electronics, jewelry, antiques, and collections. The last 4 items here, it's very recommended to count items that have a significant value only. Looking at the liabilities, any debt that you may have, credit cards, mortgage on primary home, mortgages on rental vacation properties, primary home equity loans over 60 days, and any primary home equity loan that you've added within 60 days. Any mortgage, rental, vacation properties, equity loans you may have, auto loans, student loans, and other loans or debts. Could be a note. Otherwise, we have household utilities and tax dues would be considered liabilities. So when you're going to enter numbers in the assets columns and the liabilities, it will automatically sum them up here. Look at your total net worth, but also adjust the formulas for the accredited investor calculation, meaning that your primary home will not be taken into account as an asset, as well as the liability linked to the mortgage will not be taken into account. However, there are 2 cases, and I did some notes. If the mortgage is more than the fair value of the market, then you have to count that as a liability. The other exception is any primary home equity loan that you've contracted within 60 days would be considered as well as a liability. This calculator takes all of that into account. Next, we wanted to talk about the spousal equivalent, because it's a term that appears in both the income and net worth requirement. The formal definition provided by investor.gov for spousal equivalent means a cohabitant occupying a relationship generally equivalent to that of a spouse. It's a little vague in my opinion, so I did some research and I will let you read on your own the more thorough definition if that's something that you're interested in. Finally, the third requirement available for a person is to hold in good standing a Series 7, 65 or 82 license. Those are securities or investment advisor, FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority licenses. In order for you to be able to use these licenses, they have to be in good standing. That's the key word. So I put in bold on this page. The example is for a person seeking accredited investor status. By passing the Series 65 exam, you will need to be licensed as an investment advisor representative in your state and would need to comply with all specific licensing requirements. You have to either join or form a business, register the business, pay dues every year. It's important to realize how much is involved if you wanted to get the accredited investor status thanks to a license. Finally, which steps do you have to take? The company issuing the securities, they have to take reasonable steps to verify that the investors are accredited investors. Again, it's definition coming from the investors.gov website. So what happens is that the company will use a third party for the investor to provide the necessary information that they will check on behalf of the company and then just send feedback to that company issuing securities that the investors accredited that. There are 2 well-known providers, Parallel Markets and Verify Investor, providing these services. But alternatively, you can work with your broker-dealer, investment advisor, attorney or CPA for them to confirm that you are an accredited investor. So we provided a link here as well to an accredited investor verification letter as an example. They will do the necessary verification and they just have to fill this letter and provide the reason why they determine that you are accredited and sign the letter. So next, if you wanted to have access to this presentation to read on your own and have access to all the links, to have access to the net worth calculator, to the accreditation verification letter I just showed you. You can have access to all of that by going to boostmycapital.com/accredited guide. We wanted to take a few minutes also to tell you about the Boost Capital Group Investor Club. So we understand that for busy professionals and parents like you, your time is limited and investing requires expertise. That's why we offer passive real estate investments to preserve and boost your capital. Through our Boost Capital Group Investor Club, we will take the time to learn more about you, about your investing goals, and will share valuable resources and opportunities to assist you towards achieving your goals. So please join us at boostmycapital.com/sign-up. We also wanted to tell you about the Boost Wealth Fund, which is a one-stop shop to build your own customizable a la carte portfolio by investing in high-quality equity deals. We're investing in core plus or value-add commercial real estate assets operated by experienced operators and that are located in stabilized markets with upward growth potential. All the properties will have over 100 units. Target returns is a 15% internal rate of return, which is equivalent to doubling your money in 5 years, as well as an average annual cash on cash of 8%. Thank you. And if you have any question, please direct them to investorrelations@boostmycapital.com. Thank you and see you soon.